The only real God is the one that you believe in. Start looking for the God in others. And if you find you're tuning into a wave, well then I don't know much about being saved.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, friends.
Welcome into another episode of Spiritual Philosophy Chatter with the Joneses. I am Danny Jones.
And I am Samantha Jones.
And this is episode 211.
211.
And what are we doing today?
This is Talking with Samantha Jones on HauntingLive Podcast.
Very cool.
Yeah, so we're going to play a podcast episode that I was on, an interview that I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
Thought you guys would enjoy it.
Yeah, that's cool. Good chance to share.
Yeah, but it will still do our normal
when you
stuff.
have your own podcast.
Right? Isn't it? Yeah.
All right. Well, before we do that, you want to talk about anything from last week?
Yeah, for sure. Last week we did Overcoming Religious Trauma. The week before we did Falling Off the Spiritual Wagon, and Sunshine had posted this in the discussion group. I've been listening to Falling Off the Wagon. I have so much to say and contribute, but I never have a pen and paper to remember my I agreed or questions. I do this every time I find a sticky note on my desk at work of points I wanted to make and then I forget. I wanted to say about the manifestation comments. I know you don't believe in witchcraft, but I use the Witchy Blow cinnamon powder in my door with thoughts of luck and prosperity at the beginning of the month. I had been doing this for months, and then in March, between 1 and 3 a.m., I got $4,000 dropped in my account from COVID days. I called the state to report a mistake, and they said they didn't know, but it was magic. Wow. After that, I always use cinnamon on full and new moons as well as the beginning of the month. Is it magic, or did I just believe it was going to happen?
Right.
I feel I didn't actually believe it was actually going to happen. It saved me 3 months. But where did it come from? I believe manifestation is real and different from the law of attraction for sure, because if the law of attraction was real, I'd have more light and love people in my life and not wounded looking for a healer. I love you all so much. I have more to say about the episode. Let's hope I don't lose my sticky notes again. Thank you so much for that, Sunshine. You know what?
Thank you, Sunshine.
You know what I believe about manifestation? And honestly, like, my thoughts are always changing on it, but I like this stuff. Like, you do your rituals. If they work for you, you do them. It does not matter, whatever they are. I have my own rituals. We all do things. Yeah. But I think, too, that once you kind of, like, let things go and let the universe kind of control things, that's when money will just come to you naturally anyways. Right. That happened to me earlier this week. I got 4 checks in the mail on one day from the same place, and it still doesn't make any sense to me. But, yeah.
Cool.
But it's cool. It happens. It's fabulous.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you, universe. But it can be weird. And so I think we have to play around with the manifestation and see what works, what doesn't. It's a very strange little game, I think, to play and learn for sure.
But that's a good story.
Yeah, I like that one. She injured her foot.
Yeah.
And she was going to need to buy a shower chair, and she found one on the side of the road.
So cool.
Isn't that awesome? I love it when stuff like that happens, so she didn't have to buy one, because she didn't need it permanently, just while her foot's healing. Okay, so moving on, every week we answer 2 questions. Both questions this week are from Sarah. Her first question is, how long after a person passes can you expect to receive messages? I've been asking for signs, but nothing, and I'm looking and open to receiving. I realize that sometime needs to go to a resting place for a while, but I just like some confirmation of a safe arrival. I realize they sometimes need to go to a resting place. Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's a rule, to be really honest, because I've seen it happen within days. I've felt it before I even knew that the person had passed away. And there's been times where it's taken a while. And I don't necessarily know what the difference is, but I do feel like when you choose to leave this earth, like when you commit suicide and stuff like that, I think it takes you a little longer because you might stay in that astral plane. So maybe even, like murder, stuff like that might take a little bit longer. Right. I really just go by like how it feels, with the spirit themselves. But like with my mom, I remember the first sign being, what I recognized it as sign probably 2 weeks after she passed away, but she was already doing weird things.
Wow.
But like the first, big, there was the billboard that I
Right.
saw that said, "For a good sign, call Linda."
Right.
That was like 2 weeks after she passed away. Maybe it's a miscommunication on what the sign is supposed to be or what you're looking for. Because, being open to it's great, but maybe you're just not seeing it. Maybe you're expecting something in particular. Yeah. So maybe open it up a little bit more. Sometimes they use songs that we don't think are for us, but when you listen to the lyrics, you're like, oh, okay, that pertains to right now. So be open to those kinds of messages too, to the numbers, to everything. But I really don't think there's a set rule. But I think if you, set some signs that you should start seeing them. Yeah. And I'm happy to help you. So if
I think there's a resting period, for all of us. It just depends on the life. So how much you rest. But even at that, I go, well, can kind of be at more than one place at one time consciously. Right. So they might still be able to communicate with you, on a lighter level and still be in a resting place.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Yeah, exactly. So I just, like, when I do readings, I just kind of go with how it feels with that spirit. Like if they are, if I can feel them really well or not. And if I don't feel them really well or it feels really choppy, then I'll give them some more time. But yeah, if you, want to explore this more, message me and we'll work on it.
Cool.
Because I like it. Her other question is, when does a life review happen and how long does it take? Well, I think, again, this is different for each person. But what's interesting...
Well, definitely after you die, the review happens.
Yeah.
How long it takes, I don't know. I think our perception of time, you have to review a whole life and how quickly that's viewed. Yep. From the stories I've heard, it's viewed in 360 degrees. So you see it all around you.
Yep.
So I'm guessing, it's not a huge amount of time.
Yeah.
What is time?
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say is time there is like irrelevant. It doesn't matter. So how much time does it take like here in our time? I really don't know. I think that, it probably feels really quick, but at the same time feels long. Like I've heard, you actually get to experience these things that you experienced before.
Or like the stories that I've heard about people near-death experiences and passing away. And they go and have like a barbecue or something with their family on the other side.
Yeah.
And there's people they haven't seen in years because they've been passed.
Yeah.
And they say this is felt like it was a 4-hour event.
Right.
And I was really only unconscious for maybe 10, 20 minutes.
Exactly.
Or something.
So it's like, how do you know? We don't. We have no idea. But I think it's an amazing experience. I think it starts probably shortly after we get there, or from some of the claims of people like what you're saying that have died and come back, that it happens right away. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a different experience for everybody. It depends on whatever you want, whatever your life was like, how you died, that kind of thing. But yeah. But on one hand, I'm looking forward to it, and on the other hand, I'm terrified. I don't want to see the
I
things
guess it
that
feels
I did
like
that I don't
at
like.
least it's that it's something everyone being born and dying. Everybody has to do it.
Yep, absolutely.
No ifs, ands, or buts. Everybody has to do it.
Yep, no getting around it.
No.
Nope, not at all. So hope that answered your questions, Jen. Sarah. Thank you for those.
Sarah.
The reading I'm going to do is for Jen. Let's see. She says, any of the three of the younger gentlemen on the bottom... Wait. Any of the three besides the younger gentleman on the bottom right. Chuck, Jan, or Janet. 323 was 10 years since my mom passed. I have a lot on my plate right now, so my guidance or advice... Any guidance they would... or advice they would offer would be greatly appreciated. I picked this one to do today because it looked like fun. Because it looked like a group of... almost everybody that's passed away, except the one on the bottom there. Yeah. And immediately when I saw the picture, they started talking to me. And not just one of them, but all of them. And they were like, oh, good, this is fun. We should do this. Let's see what, So I might not necessarily know who the message is coming from. You might be able to decipher it based on what they say. But the very first thing that I heard was, don't be scared. Right now is a scary time in your life, and you're going through a lot of changes, a lot of unknowns and unsures, and they want you to not be scared. They want you to look at these experiences that you're going through right now as learning, as it's not necessarily a test. It's just more to learn and grow, I guess is the better word, because it's not a test. you're just growing through this. Your understanding is becoming stronger as to how this whole thing works and how you have a lot of control over your mind and your body and those types of things. So the things that you're experiencing right now are happening to you for a multitude of reasons, but none that you need to be fearful of. So any fear that you have right now, they want you to let it go, and they want you to trust in the universe, trust that they are guiding you down the right path, and that you have a huge support team. Like, these three are not the only three I see. I see quite a few others on your spirit team on the other side that are rooting for you, and they're pushing for you to live this spiritual life that you want to live and to be the happy person that you want to be. And there's been some scary things, some scary roadblocks or they're not even roadblocks, they're just hurdles, obstacles, things that you've had to get over to progress in your life. And it's going to get easier. I feel like you have reached the peak of like what you've been going through, that you're getting, like, I see coming over the top of the mountain, and that it's going to start to get easier soon. And of course, life is, a roller coaster. It's hills and valleys, and we go up and down, but you're getting to the point where life is going to start to get easier for you. Just trust in the universe. Trust, especially in these three, and your mom. You know how moms are. You hear me talk about my mom and how amazing she is all the time. So trust in her that she's going to make sure that you are fine, and you are going to be provided all of the things that you need to make it through this part of your life.
That's cool.
That was a good message, wasn't it? Thank you, three of you, whoever did that. I think that was a great message.
I love that picture because it's like
isn't it?
It's like the JCPenney or Sears, the old 70s.
Well, yeah.
Late 70s Sears or JCPenney's catalog photo sessions with like here's our library backdrop.
Right. Well, and I love these because, like, I can feel everybody's individual personalities and, like, what they were feeling this day in this picture, and it's like everybody tries to pretend like the photo days are so fabulous and we're all here like a happy family, when in the background we're like, if you don't smile the right way, I'm going to kill you.
Here in our family library, our family shows most of its love by reading.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's awesome. So,
that's cool.
So anyways, thanks, Jen. I hope
thanks, Jen.
That resonated for you. So fabulous.
Very nice.
And then before we, get into the other podcast, should we give our info real quick?
Yeah.
Great. So you can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com. I have a couple of new things that I'm offering, one of which is an animal communication course, and also group readings.
Nice.
So if you go onto my website under the scheduling, and then you look under classes, you'll see what's available and the times. And I'm working with these. I'm learning.
Right.
So there will be different times, different months, and all that, and we'll go from there.
I think that's cool.
Yeah, I'm excited to see how it goes.
To see other people interested in learning how to do it, instead of just assuming, oh, well, she's the only one that can do it.
Right.
Well, that's not true.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I like to teach other people because there's a need for animal communication in the world. So
that's great.
Yeah, and then this Pride Month just started, so happy Pride.
Yeah.
And this coming week on my show, I'm going to do a Pride episode, and my wonderful husband here is going to call in and talk a little bit to us, as well as our daughter and her partner. Yeah. So it'll be a great episode, so have a listen. That's this Wednesday on Voice America Empowerment Channel at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
And then you.
Yep, for my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
Fabulous.
And for my photography, djones71 photography, if you're interested.
Check it out. It's good stuff.
On Instagram. So that's it for me.
Awesome.
All right, then. Well, episode 211, talking with Samantha Jones on Haunting Live Podcast. Here we go.
Fabulous. Hope you all enjoy.
Please.
Haunting Live Podcast. Welcome to Haunting Live Podcast, a place where we bring a new paranormal guest each episode to share their journey and experiences.
Yeah, it's everything. Like right now, I can feel her wondering, what am I doing? So we do a podcast, and I have a radio show, and so she sits in there sometimes, and so I just send her images of us sitting in the studio, and then she knows what I'm doing, and she's comfortable, and she can go lay down.
Visit our sponsor, the Most Gifted Psychics. Call 866-228-2883 and mention code word Haunting Live to receive 10 minutes for just $10. 100% satisfaction guaranteed. Welcome to this episode of Haunting Live. Today we have Samantha Jones, psychic medium, joining us all the way from California, USA. Thank you very much for being here, Samantha.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited.
Yeah, it's wonderful for you to join us here to talk a little bit about your background, what you do as a psychic medium, and some other specialties that you have. So, first question I have for you, though, is what drew you into becoming a psychic medium, and how did that happen for you?
Sure. So I've been an animal communicator my whole life. I didn't really know what I was doing, but the psychic work and the medium work was different. I actually kind of developed those abilities out of the blue about 5 years ago. My mom passed away in 2004, and after she passed, I started building this relationship with her on the other side, where I learned how to communicate with her through music and numbers and all kinds of other things that she would send me. And then I met this medium who told me that I had these abilities. And I didn't really believe it at first, the animal ones, yeah, but not so much the psychic and the medium. But I started going on Facebook groups and just practicing in some of those groups. They're meant for that, spiritual growth groups. And I was accurate on the people's posts about their loved ones that had passed away. And I was just blown away with how's that possible? They must be lying to me. They're just being nice, And then my husband got out his photo album from people that I had never met before, family that died before him and I even met. And I was able to tell him things that he had never told me, things that I couldn't possibly have known. And it just kind of started from there. And at the time I was doing pet sitting. I own a pet sitting business. And I really was getting older and didn't really want to do that so much anymore. And so this just kind of seemed logical. It seemed like this is a gift that I've been given and I should share it with other people, because especially when it comes to animals and bringing people closer to their animals, but also after they pass away and giving them that healing, that grief healing, and going through what I went through after I lost my mom. I like to help people so that they can get through their grief faster, because it took me so long. I held on to it for so long. So that's really what got me into it and what made me interested in this line of work.
That's amazing that you realized you could do that and actually have that ability through a tragic event in your life, but actually brought it forward for you to realize you actually have a gift as well. So
yes, absolutely.
Did you focus on that after you discovered you had the abilities of a psychic medium, or was the next steps that you took after that to continue your practice?
Oh gosh, I went through a spiritual awakening, which I never expected to go through. And it was very life-changing. And it was kind of re-examining all of my beliefs. And so at the same time that I'm trying to learn how to be a psychic medium, I'm also going through the spiritual awakening. And it was tough. And I started almost immediately offering my services to people. I started for free. And then as I got better, I started charging just small amounts, and then created a website. And I have a Facebook group that I started probably about a year into it. I started the group and it has over 6,000 people in it now. And I do free readings in that group for people. So I just started really doing that kind of stuff, getting more experience and really working through the spiritual awakening at the same time too, because I think it's important when you are a psychic that you understand the way the universe works and allow yourself to heal from the things that you've been through. And I did a lot of shadow work, and that really helped, so that now it's not just I don't just do the psychic medium and the animal communication work. I also like to do spiritual counseling for people, because I feel like, a lot of people that are psychics or tarot readers, they will just tell you your future. They'll tell you what's going to happen next week. I like to not just tell you those things, but if there's something that we can work on to make it better, to, if there's a way to change something, or, something that'll bring progress or healing, I like to work on those kinds of things, not just here's what's going to happen.
Well, you probably got that through your own experience of healing, that you want to help others heal as well. So that makes sense. Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Did you progress first to your animals then, since you have an animal business? Was it easier for you to sort of work on them first than other people, or how did that start?
Yeah, the animals, actually, I had been doing that a long time. I started doing that professionally when I was about, 22, 23. but I didn't do it a lot. It wasn't something like, there was no real big internet presence at that point. Everything we did was through like the phone book, so it wasn't easy to get myself out there. So I didn't do it a lot. It was a more for family and friends and some of my pet sitting clients and stuff. So I had been doing that a long time. So then I went through a divorce and I moved back to California from Las Vegas, and I didn't really want to use those abilities anymore because it makes you really attached to animals. Not that I could distance myself all the way, but not doing the animal communication work, it was a little bit more peace of mind for me, because if I would go somewhere and I would feel something from an animal, it would just kind of throw me off. It would make me sad if there was something sad going on or whatever. So I stopped doing it. And then when these other abilities hit, I was like, well, I have to go back to doing that because animals are what my real passion is. And so that came back in, and that's very, very easy and natural for me, talking to the animals. It's like talking to humans.
So can you share sort of an experience that you had with an animal when you first started discovering that you had the ability to actually hear them talk to you? Was it kind of strange to you, or?
It's not strange. It's not really like a talking. The very first time that I had this experience as an adult, when I started trying to learn about these abilities, I was working for the NSPCA as their education director, and there was a lady there that had a problem with her dog that she couldn't solve, and she didn't tell me anything about it, nothing at all, just the dog's name, and gave me a picture of the dog, and that was it. And what I saw was this dog at the bottom of her bed, like, on the ground, but at the bottom of the bed in the crate, and that's where the dog slept at night. And I just felt this feeling of like, I don't want to be in there. It wasn't like the dog said directly to me, I don't want to be in there. I could just feel it. It's like this locked up kind of feeling where you just feel anxious and stuff. And so I told her, I think that he's in this crate and he doesn't want to be in the crate. And she told me that I was accurate. And I was like blown away because I had never really done this for anybody before, So that was like my first professional type experience. It was pretty cool.
So basically you go upon like feelings that you have for things you're sensing from the animal, or do you more get like images that they're trying to show you?
It's everything. Okay. It's everything. It depends on what it is. So like, let's say I have an animal that's not feeling well and the owner asked me to do a body scan. So what I do is I get a picture of the animal sideways so that I can see the whole body. And then a lot of times it will come in different ways. So I might feel a headache. I might feel a stomach ache, or I'm just drawn to this one part of the animal where I just can't take my eyes off of it or whatever. So things come in that way. There are words that I will get words, but that seems to be with the animals the least that they use. It's usually the pictures. Like if I ask, what's your favorite toy? They'll show me. When I connect to them for the first time, usually they get very excited and they show me that they're excited, and they will show me, like if it's an animal that's passed away, they will show me what their body did when they would get excited, like when their owner would come home, so that I can tell the owner, this is what I'm seeing. Like they get down, like the play, or they run in circles, or whatever it is, the animals show me those types of things. So it's a little bit of everything.
So like when you read people too, like some psychic and mediums, they get the feeling or senses, or they'll see things or see images. So I guess it's the same way with both animals, and some people do psychic work the same way too. So
yes, exactly.
I'd have other animal communicators on our show in the past, and I always wondered, okay, is it direct communication that they're actually speaking back and forth, like with words, so they're understanding what they want to say, or is it just what they're feeling and getting from sensing their energy? So
yeah, it's everything. Like right now I can feel her wondering, what am I doing? So we do a podcast and I have a radio show. And so she sits in there sometimes. And so I just send her images of us sitting in the studio, and then she knows what I'm doing and she's comfortable and she can go lay down, so but I can also say words to her, or to them. I can send them messages anyway. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's cool. I had, like I said, another animal communicator in the past, and she was actually able to communicate with wild animals as well, which I thought was pretty interesting. So that was
I'll do that, yeah.
Yeah. Is it different than domestic animals, or is it the same method?
It's the same method, but it's not usually the same responses. It depends on the animal themselves. There was one day I actually had a conversation with a hummingbird, and that was pretty cool. That I asked him, "Where do you live?" And he showed me the tree that he lives in around here, and he showed me his nest and his little family that he lives in the tree with. And I said, "What do you do all day?" And so he showed me what his job is to go and like collect the nectar and bring it back, and that they all have a job, it's so that was his job. So that was one time where it was just like having a conversation. But then there might be other times where like I try and communicate with something like a raven or a hawk or whatever, and it's almost like I feel like I'm being ignored, or like they're actually going to their friends like, "Look at this human trying to communicate with me." But I have communicated with also like where I live in Southern California, there's mountain lions, and there's occasionally they will like roam into the streets and stuff. And there was one that was in the streets in the town over, and she looked really sick. I saw a picture of her, and I could tell that she was not well. And so I told her, "They're going to help you. So you need to go back to where you were, but people were worried she was going to hurt somebody. So I told her, just go to like walking on the street. Don't bother anybody. Just walk down the street and they're going to help you." And I actually told the wildlife, I messaged them and I said, "Look, this is what's going on." And I've told her, and they got her like 2 days later. And unfortunately she was very sick and had to be euthanized. But I did tell her that too. I told her, they're going to help you either way. You're going to be in less pain than you're in right now. So hopefully I helped her to know that she was safe to find somebody. So yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing that you were able to actually communicate with a wild animal like a cougar and just say, "It's going to be okay, just keep going and we'll help you," kind of thing. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
The paranormal can happen at any time, so that's why our Etsy store is always open. Get your paranormal items from cleansing to protection to attraction, all available now on our Etsy store. Search Haunting Live. Okay, well, let's move on to mediumship now as the next topic. Aside from being able to communicate with animals, was it the same way you developed your animal communication develop into spirit and mediumship communication, or how did you experience that development?
That I worked on a lot. That one was really hard for me to wrap my head around, that I was not just talking, like I'm talking to an animal that's right here makes sense to me. Talking to a spirit that I can't see and that I never knew makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. So I had to prove to myself that this was actually what I was doing. And so I practiced and I practiced and I practiced. And it was not as easy for me as the animals. I would actually, like when I started doing paid readings at the beginning, like probably within the first year, if somebody had like a spirit reading, medium reading scheduled for me, I would, and I wasn't like prepared, if I was nervous, I would almost cry. Be like, I can't do this. But the animals, I never feel like that. It's just so natural. Now I feel different about it. I feel it feels natural to me, but the animals still, they do feel much more natural. But I love the medium work. It's really interesting the way that spirits communicate. They communicate way different than animals do. I mean, same kind of things, pictures and all of that. But for me, at least with my medium abilities, I have a lot of like puzzles that I have to put together almost. Like they don't just tell me what it is. They make me kind of figure it out. Like there was this one day I was doing a reading for a lady whose son passed away. And all of a sudden I just saw his shoes and socks. That's all I saw were his shoes and socks. I have no clue what that means. What does this mean? So I'm like, please don't think I'm crazy for saying this, but I just have this image of your son's shoes and socks. And she said, "I keep them right next to my bed." How am I supposed to know that? But why can't they just say that? Why can't they just say she keeps his shoes and socks next to the bed? It doesn't, for me, it doesn't really work like that. Sometimes I'll get a feeling of something like, I'll just think, oh, wow, okay, that's where his shoes are. They're there next to her bed. But most of the time, it's not the actual words to me saying his shoes are next to her side of the bed. I wish it was, but I know a lot of psychics, they get names really well. A lot of mediums, professional mediums. I'm not good with names. It's something that I hope that I'll get better with over the years, but I don't know why.
Well, there's different ways spirit does communicate with the medium on the other end, and sometimes they show it visually, sometimes they show it other ways, like feelings and whatever. You can sense something's there, and like you can let the person know, like, I sense this, or a smell or something like that too, right? So I think it's all confirmation as well. Like, it's confirmation for the reader as well as your sitter too. So like, and yourself too, because them doing it that way, it's confirming that you are correct. So
yes, absolutely.
Would you like to share any other experiences that you've had when communicating with spirit? Any weird things happen?
I have a lot. I wish that I would have written them all down, because I have a list. When I first started, and I was nervous about the whole thing. I wasn't exactly sure how this even worked. Like, I used pictures to bring people's loved ones in. But as far as like me just feeling people out of nowhere, I wasn't exactly sure how that was going to feel. And I was doing pet sitting still at the time. And I had this client who their son had passed away. And during the initial consultation, they showed me his picture and said he had passed away and all that. Well, the first time I went into the house to take care of the animals after the people left, I opened the door and he says, "Boo." And he says, "Aren't you scared?" And I said, "Scared of what?" And he says, "The house is haunted." I said, "What are you talking about? The house is haunted?" And I go and turn the light switch, flip the light switch, and the light bulb, you know how like when a light bulb goes out, it does that poof thing? That's what it did. And he started laughing so hard at me because I got nervous about that the light bulb would poof. He's like, "I'm not going to hurt you. It's all in good fun," But I was not expecting that at all. I was so like, what just happened? And you like question your own sanity. Like, did that really just happen? Did that spirit really just do that? Or am I just, it was pretty cool. I've had some really, cool spirit experiences. My mother probably gives me some of the best experiences. Because she's very specific with using her name a lot of times. And we have different things that we use for each other. So my husband and I went to this thing called the Magic Bus, and it was like a 420 event. And there was all kinds of different themed rooms. And there was one room that was just completely covered in white paper. And they gave you crayons and you could like write on the walls, but it wasn't just the walls. It was like the chairs were covered in paper, the tables, everything. And there were also two guys walking around that were covered in paper. And so my husband's writing on the wall and I'm looking around where to write. And one of the guys in white, he comes over and he takes my hand and he leads me over to this shelf. And I swear to God, my sister says this, if I'm lying, I'm dying. Right there was my mother's name, Linda, written in purple, which was her favorite color, and a unicorn drawn in green. And unicorn is something that we use. It's just, a happy symbol. But purple was her favorite color, but green was another color that I associated with her because we used to live in an apartment when I was little with green walls and green carpet. And so it was like a running joke with us. So it just blew my mind, not just that Linda and that unicorn were there, but that the guy literally brought me over to it and was like, "Look, this has been waiting for you all day." It was crazy. I've had a lot of experiences like that. A lot. Yeah.
Like a lot of weird instances that just don't make sense to you at the time, but
they don't. And it feels
it out after.
Yeah. It like feels like coincidence sometimes. And you're like, there's no way. There's no way that's a coincidence.
No, that's strange. Like, was the writing already there and the guy knew it was for you somehow? Yep. Or like, did you figure out anything else about it? Or
the only thing that I can think is that maybe he had the same kind of abilities and he just felt the need to take me over there. But when I told him, because I told my husband, "Come over and look at this," and I told the guy, I said, "That's my mom's name and she's passed away," and he's just nodding like he knows. And I'm like, "What the?" It's like he knew. Maybe he did. I don't know. But
yeah, sounds like he has some abilities. Like he's probably a medium too, and already knew she could have been talking to him before you. So
he could have been the one to draw that. Absolutely, it was pretty cool. Yeah.
How do you work day to day with mediumship? Then is it something that I know you do it for your clients? Is it something that you continuously work at, or do you feel you've reached a point now where you're more comfortable with it and you can actually help your clients out and stuff day to day?
Oh yeah, I'm definitely more comfortable with it. It's now become a normal part of my life where this is just what I do. I can feel the spirits around me a lot during the day, and communicate with them throughout the day just for myself. And so that it's not as hard for me to do the readings for people anymore. I love doing it, and it's really very healing. That's what really helped me to get through my mom's passing, was a medium. And that's an interesting story I'll share with you real quick too. Is I had seen this psychic probably 3 years before my mom died. My mom actually had a reading from her too, and but I didn't have her number. I lost her number. I didn't even really think of hiring a medium for whatever reason. It didn't occur to me, and I was having a really hard time. And one day, that psychic just called me out of the blue, and she said, "I'm back in Las Vegas." I didn't even know she left. Like, "I'm back in Las Vegas if you need a reading." And I was like, okay. And I had a dog that was having some issues at the time. So I was like, okay, well, yeah, I'll have her read for my dog, and then maybe there's some other things she can tell me. And as soon as we started, my mom just comes in and starts telling her, this, "I'm her mom, I'm here. Here's some things to validate." She started talking about my birds, and we were able to heal, and we both had some things we needed to say, and we said them, and I felt so much better and so much different after that day. So now to be able to do that for other people is very, very rewarding. So I think that I had to go through that too in order for me to be able to help my clients the way that I can, because I can empathize with them on a level that you can't if you haven't been through a traumatic loss like that.
No, it's hard for both of them. Like when you lose somebody, it's so hard. And if you lose a pet, it's even the same. So it's difficult to get through. And it is odd. Like, I don't think the average person thinks of going to a medium to get help with something like that. I think they might think of it later on. You know what I mean? Like, say, after they started healing, they say, well, maybe they can help talk to my passed on pet or my loved one or whatever. But to think of it afterwards, you don't think of it as a healing process to go and start right away to start that healing. Yes. So what would you recommend to somebody maybe that's lost a pet or lost a loved one that maybe is struggling like you were in the first part of that happening?
One of the big things that I've learned is that I carried the grief around too long. I prolonged it myself, and they don't want us to do that. Our loved ones, our animals, they don't want us to do that. And so I try and tell people, when you experience that kind of loss, grieve. You need to grieve, but don't drag it on by dragging it on yourself. So like, I listened to every sad song every day that reminded me of my mom constantly. I thought that made it better for her. I was thinking, she's on the other side. I wasn't thinking this is such a beautiful place where she can now do whatever she wants and, communicate with me. I was thinking of this as she's not here anymore. And so she's not here. So I'm not supposed to be happy. And so I definitely wasn't happy for like a good 3 years. And so now that I can communicate with them and I see what's actually going on, that is one of the things that I say to people the most is, do your best not to drag this on and on, because they don't want that. Feel the feelings that you need to feel as much as you need to, but don't drag it on and on. They really don't want that. They want us to be happy. We're supposed to live our lives and be happy while we're here, because it goes by so fast, much faster than we even realize. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Way too fast. Like some days it drags on, but you think it's only one day, but then you look at it through your lifetime and you're like, wow, that has gone by fast, and you're gone through half your life before you know it. So, well, thank you so much, Samantha, for coming on. I appreciate you taking your time today and talking to us at Haunting Live about your mediumship journey and some experiences that you've had throughout it, and how you help your clients day to day. So if there's somebody that wants to reach out to you and can get some help either with animals that they have or a loved one, how can they help? How can they contact you?
Sure. You can find me at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com, and I apologize for them. And I have a radio show that airs every Wednesday, so you can find that on the website. And then my husband and I have a podcast together as well, and that's also on the website. So everything's right there, SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com.
For sure. I'll have to check that out and see what your podcast show is all about and check it out for sure. And I'll share it as well to our group as well on Facebook and help you out there too. So, but thank you. It was lovely meeting you. And thank you so much for coming on Haunting Live.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Miss one of our episodes? Replay our episodes on Rhode Island Broadcasting, Wednesdays at 10 p.m. EST. Show your support for Haunting Live by supporting our broadcast partner, Rhode Island Broadcasting. Find them on YouTube. The paranormal can happen at any time, so that's why our Etsy store is always open. Get your paranormal items from cleansing to protection to attraction. All available now on our Etsy store. Search Haunting Live.
Very cool. Well, thank you for sharing that with everybody, and I hope that you guys enjoyed that.
Me too.
It was a cool interview.
Yeah, I thought so.
But before we say goodbye, would you like to share your information one more time?
Absolutely. So you can find me, the podcast, the radio show, all of it at SamanthaJonesPsychicMedium.com.
Very good.
And then you, sir.
Yes, one more time for my art, djonesartcollection.com for the web, at djonesartcollection for Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. And I mentioned my photography earlier, which is djones71 photography, at djones71 photography.
Yay.
For Instagram. Sorry.
Fabulous.
And that's it for me. Well, we hope everybody did get something out of it.
That we do.
And we hope you guys have a great week.
We do.
And until next week,
Peace and love.